Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Mayanthi, I'm a qualified counsellor. I make videos all about how I became a counsellor and what you might want to know if you're looking to become a counsellor as well. I also share bits of my life and just what's happening. I enjoy creating content, I have a creative mind, and I feel like this is my space to just kind of post whatever comes up in life. So feel free to subscribe to my channel if you enjoy these types of videos. So in today's video, I wanted to do a bit of a Q&A, which will go through some of the questions I've been getting on some of my YouTube videos. So let's get started. So one of the most recent comments I got was, I want to be a school counsellor, but I have already studied general medicine in another country. Should I apply for the Bachelor of Psychology for 4 years and then go for counselling? And would they accept me as a counsellor if I have a Bachelor of Psychology but not registered? So if your goal is to become a school counsellor, as I've mentioned in other videos, you basically have to have an education background, so study teaching or something to do in the education teaching area, and then do a diploma in psychology or in counselling. And then that will give you kind of a head start into the public school sector in Australia. But if you want to work at a private school as a counsellor, generally it's up to the school who they hire, but generally they hire people, again, with an education background, and usually psychologists or social workers. So not many schools will hire someone with just a counselling background. So if you do want to become a school counsellor in a public school in Australia, make sure you have some kind of education study background. But if you're looking for private school work, then what I recommend is talking to the schools that you're thinking of working at and ask them what they require, who they hire. So they might even bring in counsellors to do day programs with the kids and run workshops and different group activities. So if you're not sure, I would, as I said, reach out to the school. But in terms of this particular comment, because you have a medicine background, it might be best to follow the pathway of becoming a psychologist. Because as I've said before in other videos as well, having that psychology background, becoming a psychologist will give you more opportunities in the long run. And it's definitely more regulated in Australia. So the next question is, I've done a Masters of Social Work with 7 years experience, but want to become a psychologist, but 6 years of study is putting me off, as opposed to the 2 years Masters of Counselling. It's very confusing. Any suggestions, please? So I definitely kind of agree with your sentiment, and I felt like I was in that spot as well. You know, best case scenario would be to become a psychologist, but it is a lot of study, especially if you've already done some study and you've got experience working in the field as well. But if you can push through and get through those years of study to become a psychologist, I would definitely recommend that if you can get into a psychology honours and master's program. But like, again, I did the 2 years Masters of Counselling, and I would definitely recommend that degree. I enjoyed it, I learned a lot, and I'm using those skills now in my work, whether it's as a counsellor or just in the field in general. So I wouldn't discount the Master of Counselling degree as a good degree in itself to learn skills and then to get a job. But if you're looking for a long-term kind of future career goal, and psychology is kind of in that direction, I would definitely recommend pushing through and getting into psychology or doing psychology. But if you can't get into psychology, definitely starting with the Masters of Counselling would be a step in the right direction as well. So another question I've got is, are the school counsellors in Australia registered guidance counsellors too? I wonder how it works. So I think the concept of guidance counsellors are more of an American-based concept. I wouldn't say that in Australia we have guidance counsellors if you're talking about in schools or like at camps and things like that. But in Australia you can register as a counsellor, but it's not necessarily called a guidance counsellor. So if you have any more specific questions about that, let me know and I'll try and answer them. But I think the concept of guidance counsellor overseas is a little bit different to counsellors in Australia. So the last question I want to answer is, do you need to have a degree in psychology? Can you become a counsellor in Australia without a related degree? And what is the pathway? So to become a counsellor, you don't need a degree in psychology. You can become a counsellor with a related degree. So if you do a diploma in counselling, or as I've said before, Bachelor of Social Work, Masters of Social Work. There are a few degrees in the social work, community services, youth services, and counselling area that kind of will give you those skills that are transferable across kind of that whole field. So you don't need to necessarily do the psychology degree specifically to be a counsellor. But there are lots of kind of options, and again, I would reach out to the training provider, so whether it's a TAFE, university, or some other kind of online college type situation, reach out to them if you're thinking about studying one of their courses and ask them, will it make you a registered counsellor after that? Or what would you need to do to become a registered counsellor? Because a lot of the time it's not mentioned on their websites or in the handbooks. You need to actually talk to someone and ask them what it means. What does doing that course mean? Will you be able to get a job after it? Will you be able to register with a registration body? I know it's very confusing and there's a lot of information out there, but if you talk to the source itself, that should be the best information and advice you can get. So I hope answering some of those questions helped you with your journey as well. Let me know if you have any other questions down below. I do have other questions that I'd be happy to answer in other Q&A videos like this. I know this wasn't very long, but I don't want to give lots of detailed information and kind of go off on tangents, because then that can get confusing as well. So I hope this information was helpful. Thank you again for watching. Make sure to subscribe, hit that little thumbs up button if you like this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.